Quick heads up before we start. What you're about to hear is going to change how you think people respond to miracles. I'm going to tell you a story about two men who healed someone in broad daylight and it nearly got them killed. Not by enemies, but by the very people they helped. If you've ever wondered how fast gratitude can curdle into rage, or how we try to cram the unexplainable into a story that we already love, then you need to hear what happened in this forgotten Roman town of Lystra. So it's around 49 AD, and we're in a town called Lystra. It's the heart of what we now call Turkey. This isn't a capital, it's not a port, this is frontier country. We're talking dusty streets, farmers, craftsmen. They have a local dialect that most outsiders just can't follow. But Lystra had a story. A long time ago, the people said Zeus and Hermes came through disguised as poor travelers. The townsfolk, they failed the test. They turned the gods away, and judgment fell on the region. Only one elderly couple took it upon themselves to show hospitality, and they were the ones that were spared. So families in Lystra, they grew up hearing the same thing. If the gods ever come back, we're not going to fail the test again. And then, on one ordinary afternoon, two strangers walk into town. Their names, Barnabas and Paul. To Lystra, these guys are the odd couple. Now Barnabas, he looks the part. Tall, steady, that quiet, commanding presence. The kind of man that people would instinctively follow. Paul, he's different. Shorter, more intense. The kind of guy you may miss in a crowd until he starts talking, then whoa, who is this guy? They have been traveling the countryside telling this story about Jesus being crucified, buried, then rising again. And everywhere they go, two things follow them: miracles and chaos. They don't know it yet, but Lystra is about to become the most chaotic stop of all. We're at the marketplace and Paul is preaching. In the crowd, there's a man who has been crippled from birth. The guy's never taken a step, and he is hanging on to every word. Paul stops mid-sentence. The crowd stares, and he locks eyes with the man, and loud enough for the whole market to hear, he says, "Stand on your feet." The guy doesn't just stand, he jumps, he walks, he leaps. For the first time in his life, his legs are working. The crowd erupts, the impossible has just happened in front of them. But Lystra doesn't just see a miracle, they see a legend coming to life. The gods are back in town. And this feverish babble begins to erupt out of their Lycaonian dialect. Paul and Barnabas can't understand a word they are saying, but they can feel the energy tilt into mania. Someone points at the tall, steady one, Barnabas, and shouts, "There's Zeus!" Then they point at the speaker, Paul, and cry, "And there's Hermes!" The shout goes citywide. The gods are here. This time, we're going to get it right. Before Paul and Barnabas can react, the priest is sprinting toward them with bulls for sacrifice and garlands in his arms. This whole city is preparing to worship these guys. Imagine the horror. Two men whose faith is built on worshiping the one true God about to be worshipped as pagan deities. And the chaos is snowballing so fast, they can't slow it down. Just wait, it gets worse. New players arrive. Men from the last cities Paul and Barnabas visited. They've been following them for one reason: to stop them. They slip through the festival and they start whispering, "These guys aren't gods, they're frauds. Troublemakers is what they are." And here's where you see what a crowd can do. Just minutes ago, Lystra was cutting flowers to make garlands for Barnabas and Paul. Now they feel like they've been made fools of, and their adoration has turned into rage. They're not reaching for flowers, they're reaching for rocks. And they stone Paul, not from a safe distance. This is mob. Stone after stone until he stops moving. Then they drag his limp body outside the gate and leave him in the dirt. They think he's dead, done, finished. Dust settles, the crowd fades, and a small circle of disciples, Jesus followers, gather around Paul's body. They do the only thing they know to do. They pray. And then Paul gets up. He's bruised, he's bleeding, but he's alive. The guy walks back into the very city that just tried to kill him. Talk about a boss move. The next day, he and Barnabas move on. But on their way back to Antioch, they come through Lystra again, not with revenge, but to encourage the handful of those that believe through the chaos. Lystra shows us the power of a story. The people had a box for their idea of God. So when the true miracle showed up, they forced it into the Zeus and Hermes story they already knew. And when Paul refused to play their part, when he talked about a God who serves and suffers, they just couldn't handle it. And here's the honest part. We do the same thing. We build our boxes for God and tell ourselves stories about how He's supposed to act. And when He doesn't, our devotion can turn into disappointment or worse. So when a miracle breaks our favorite story, what do? Do we change the story or do we pick up a rock? I hope this story was a blessing to you. And if you're interested in hearing more, we're currently going through a series on Acts. The playlist is right here. Just click on that. And if you want to hear more of these deep dives into Scripture, just hit that subscribe button. Until next time, God bless you.